Today's video will be a video essay on how to get good at Destiny 2 or any other first-person shooter for that matter. An overview of what I'm going to talk about is on screen now, but I'll just jump into it. First, we're going to talk about a growth outlook over a winning outlook. If you lost a match, what could you have done better? If you won a match, what could you have done better? Play for skill acquisition and game mastery rather than a high win percentage. In the long run, you'll thank me for this. In the next section, we'll talk about how stats are overvalued, but not useless. People put a lot of weight into kill-death ratio, but overall, KDA doesn't tell the whole story. I would argue that positioning, damage, team synchronization, and more things like that are important. Essentially, making decisions and plays for a net gain towards a win are vastly more important than simply having more kills than death. An example is going to be a 1.0 KD, so neutral, versus somebody who went negative with a 0.8, but that person also canceled 3 supers. In the grand scheme of things, the person who canceled 3 supers did a lot more for their team than that person with a neutral KD. Stats should help you focus your practice into areas where you need it. For example, over the course of a scrim series where you average less damage than your teammates, even though you aren't getting many one-hit kills, this indicates that you should practice involving yourself more in team engagements. You could even use film in tandem with stats to decide whether or not the outlier stat indicates a weakness in your strategy or execution. For example, if you have a low damage stat, but you're always anchoring a spawn, which means positioning your character behind your teammates to force disadvantageous spawns for your enemy, then you're probably doing the right thing and the stat doesn't matter as much. Moving on, we're talking about game sense. This is the recognition of common patterns and reacting accordingly and timely. This is the deciding most important aspect of success in any first-person shooter. It involves keeping a rolling tab of what's going on around you and using those as clues to determine what the enemy will do next. The only way to develop this skill is to play a lot, but also to pay attention. You can accelerate growth of game sense by intentionally looking for new interactions and noting the relation to other previous interactions. Mechanical skill is an interesting topic because a lot of people seem to think that it's more important than game sense. I assure you it's not. Mechanical skill is how quickly, how accurately, and how precisely you perform inputs for a desired result. It's the skill of making your character do exactly what you want it to do. You develop the skill with deliberately specific practice and repetition. This practice first creates a conscious knowledge of what button to press and when. Extreme practice of this leads to better execution and an unconscious knowledge of it. This idea is often called muscle memory. In other words, eventually, you'll have enough mechanical skill to perform certain actions without thinking about it. You can now afford to think about other game-related things instead of just the mechanical aspect of it. I call this mental tax. In my own words, mental tax is the amount of focus a task requires to execute adequately. The more focus a task requires, the higher the mental tax. When you think about core first-person shooter fundamentals, I would say that aiming, positioning, and synchronization are among the top 3. When getting good at any FPS game, your goal should be to keep the mental tax low on these core fundamentals. You want to free up as much focus as possible to switch between these high mental tax tasks, like aiming and reacting fast, on-the-fly strategy development, hyper-awareness, and rapid and specific communication. What is hyper-awareness? This is the one that I'm going to highlight out of these 4. To me, that means being receptive and interested in what's going on around you. What sounds are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are your teammates hearing? What are your teammates seeing? You're basically priming your body to tap into game sense to react quickly and with the best possible response. You'll almost feel the world slow down around you when you're in this state, which is why I think it's the most valuable state to be in when practicing. Now we talk about practice. Be critical of yourself and receptive to outside critique. Remember that L stands for learning, not for losing, and W stands for what can we do better? Practice is most efficient when you are challenged but not overwhelmed. Think of proximal development. Too little challenge and you're bored, too much and you're helpless. You can always adjust the challenge by changing parameters on the fly. For example, you can use equipment or rules that allow for more skillful interactions, so both you and your opponent have more opportunities to challenge each other. If the lobby is weaker than you, you might consider turning off the heads-up display. You could also, in Destiny's case, throw away supers to give you more opportunities to outplay your opponent with neutral means. Scrimmaging is vastly more efficient than practicing in public matches. In scrims, player intention is usually the same. Everybody wants to improve. Few players have the luxury of time to work towards mastery, so make the most of your practice hours. Use the best tool for the job within reason. If, for instance, you think controller is better than mouse and keyboard, then play controller. If you think X strategy or equipment or whatever is strong, then use X strategy or equipment better than your opponent. Practice with the end result in mind. This ties back to that growth outlook. You'll find you end up winning significantly more if you build upon a rich and refined skill set rather than crutching off one particular strength that the game happens to accommodate in that moment. If you practice everything that I talked about in this video so far, you're good. But if you don't, you'll probably hear some of these common excuses, which is, I'm more of a solo player. Well, don't expect team coordination, communication, or strategy. I don't have a lot of time to play. Well, choose an end goal that makes the most of your available time. All that player does is X strategy. Well, since they're so predictable, outplay them. This game isn't balanced. Well, try to understand the game so that when it returns to a state of balance, you'll be more equipped to rapidly develop skill. Wow, this guy is going for it. Not everybody plays the game with the same intentions. You can either match them and do it better, or organize scrims. I wish people played the win exclusively in a rank system, but alas, it's not a realistic wish. Curb your ego, take a loss, and hope that the next lobby is different, or just play to win in ranked exclusively and accept the result. I'd wreck this kid at any other game. Sorry, you're choosing to play this game. So accept your current skill and commit to practicing to improve to change that result. He just got lucky. Well, don't be mad then. If luck has something to do with it, then it will be your turn eventually. Otherwise, choose a new game to invest in. He's so laggy. Well, that's online gaming. It happens. What are you in control of that you can do better at? I pressed that button. There's two possibilities. You did not press that button at the right time, or you did press the button, but you don't understand game mechanics enough to see how it could have changed the desired result. So try to understand the game better. He's cheating. Awesome. Report them. Understand that the chance of encountering a cheater is just as likely for you as anyone else. Continue playing to improve, let them talk trash, and continue playing to improve. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.